Hey, what's going on, everybody? In this episode today, we're going to be diving into the science of getting rich. And that is the title, and it's also the claim. It's claiming that in order to get rich, you can basically follow a formula, just like 2 plus 2 is 4. You can follow this formula that will guarantee you become rich. And I'm not just talking about in the emotional or spiritual sense, I'm talking about financially independent, having a lot of money, having a lot of resources, and all that kind of stuff. So if you're new to the channel, get ready to enjoy. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you get value. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. I've got pulled up here on my screen the book, The Science of Getting Rich by the author Wallace D Wattles. This book was written back in the early 1900s. I think it was 1912 or 1913. And this is actually the book that the movie The Secret was based off of. So that author who authored the book The Secret, she read this book and that caused her to write about The Secret. This is where law of attraction really became popularized and it became more mainstream. Let's go ahead and jump into this and we're going to break it down line by line. Now, the first chapter, the first page right here, he says, whatever may be said in praise of poverty, the fact remains that it is not possible to live a really complete or successful life unless one is rich. So right off the bat, the author is going ahead and he's just saying straight up, your life is incomplete if you're poor. So if you're watching this and you feel a little offended, maybe you should. And this is not to really ostracize anybody. He's saying this because he wants to make it a matter of fact. Because science is unemotional. And so he's just making a very brazen statement that says you cannot have a full life if you are in poverty, if you are poor. But don't worry, this entire book literally teaches you how to become rich regardless of where you are starting out. Now, he continues on to say, no man can raise to his greatest possible height in talent or soul development. So he's not just talking about the physical. He's also talking about the non-physical part of it. He's saying your actual talent and your soul development, it requires you to have money, right? He says, in order to do so, to unfold the soul and to develop talent, he must have many things to use, and he cannot have these things unless he has money to buy them with, which I think is a fair assessment, because some people are going to say, well, Marlon, that's not true. What about the monks who sit and meditate? Well, remember, there are people that come and offer to them. So the monks do have money coming in, and if they don't, guess what? The temples do get shut down, unfortunately. So even when you say those people that sit and meditate who have nothing, technically they do have something. They just don't directly go out and work for it themselves. They rely on the kindness, the generosity, the donation of the local villages, of the other people who want to support that work. Let's continue. He says that it's important for you to remember that spirit awaits direction from the soul. Ask and it shall be given was excellent advice. Now, I had a pause right here. I think the first couple, honestly, I've read this book many times and I have never noticed that one line. And today it stood out to me like, wow. Because let's look at it one more time. It says, it's important for you to remember that spirit awaits direction from the soul. I wanted to know what was the difference between spirit and soul. This was the first time I've ever seen the two of them be used in the same sentence, but not be interchangeable. In fact, I've almost always used spirit and soul interchangeably. And so now that I'm seeing that, wait a second, the spirit is getting direction from the soul. That means these are two different things. So of course I went to Google and I had to look it up, and let's look at what the answer I got here from gotquestions.org. This spoke about a few things, right? It says the soul and the spirit are two primary immaterial parts ascribed to humanity. So essentially, it's two different things. Now, I'm going to jump down here a little bit because the word spirit refers only to the immaterial facet of humanity. So human beings have a spirit. So it's not saying that a human is a spirit. It's saying a human being has a spirit. The same way a human being has an eyeball or a human being has an arm, but we are not spirits. And so it goes on to kind of quote different places from the Bible where it says that human beings have these spirits, right? That the spirit is an element in humanity. So look down here. It says the spirit is an element in humanity that gives us the ability to have an intimate relationship with God. So we're going to come back to that sentence in a little bit because I want to talk about how I interpreted it. But then we go down here and it says the word soul can refer both to immaterial and material aspects of humanity. So humans have a spirit, but they are souls. All right, so that means in the most basic sense, the word soul is life. So soul in this case is your life force, right? The thing that animates the body is the soul, the life force of it. And then the human, like the actual human that you animate, the spirit is the thing that gives us an intimate relationship with God. So the way I like to look at it and the way I understood it is my soul is animating me. It's moving my arms. It's controlling my body. It's giving messages to my brain for the rest of me to go. My spirit is almost like this built-in cell phone, right? Like I know everyone talks about like Neuralinks with Elon Musk being able to connect to the internet, like having some interface built in that connects you to the World Wide Web. Well, your spirit is like that built-in chip that connects you to God, right? That's your cell phone that lets you talk back upstairs and vice versa, lets him talk back to you. So that was my understanding. And so now let's bring it back to the text. Let's go ahead and open the book up. And it says, it's important for you to remember that the spirit awaits direction from the soul. Dang, isn't that cool? So your soul is essentially giving your spirit commands. And this is why he says, ask and it shall be given was excellent advice. Ask and it shall be given. Because when you ask, the soul has given the command to the body to speak the words. So then when you're speaking the words, my guess is your spirit is hearing it and it's beaming the message back up to God. It's beaming the message back up to the universe, wherever you, I believe in God. So I'm just going to say God. It's beaming the message back up to God. God is like, perfect, I got you. Let me mail out the package. Package is coming on in. Ask and it shall be given. Now, let's keep going here. I told you this one's going to be a little bit longer than the rest because I really love this book. This is one of my favorite books. Be sure to hit a like, by the way, if you're enjoying this breakdown. He says, a man develops in mind, soul, and body by making use of things, and society is so organized that man must have money in order to become the possessor of things. So let's slow it down. A man develops in mind, soul, and body. We got three areas, mind, body, and soul. And he says he does this by making use of things. So the way we develop in mind is we make use of things. Like what? Like reading books. The way we make use of body is we make use of things like lifting weights. The way we make use of things like soul is what? It's giving gifts, right? It's giving love, right? It's giving life to others, right? So we have to use things. So we use things. And society, right? He says society is so organized that man must have money in order to become the possessor of things. I cannot use your gym if I don't have enough money to pay for your gym membership. I can't drive the car the way I want to drive the car if I don't have money to buy the car. Because if I start driving your car without money or without the permission, I'm stealing. Right? Society will lock me up in a jail and then boom, my growth and my development stunts right there. I cannot go any further. Therefore, the basis of all advancement for man must be the science of getting rich. Therefore, he's not saying that money is the direct thing that grows you. He's saying money is a tool that then you can trade to be able to go and get things that can now be used for your development. Right? It's not saying that money is knowledge, but money can buy knowledge. Money is not food, but money can buy food. So we're just looking at money as a medium that can be exchanged for the things that you need in order for you to develop. Let's keep going. It says, the object of all life is development, and everything that lives has an inalienable right to all the development it is capable of attaining. This is cool because he's like, okay, for anyone that's ever asked, like, what is the purpose of life? He's giving you an answer here. You don't, by the way, let me say this. Let's go full screen for you to look at me. This is not me telling you this is what the purpose of life is. I'm not saying that you need to read this book and this is your scripture, this is your Bible. I'm saying that these are the claims by Wallace D Wattles in the book, The Science of Getting Rich. So take this, you have the ability to accept this information, to reject this information, to do nothing with this information. But I would implore you to look through it and see if there's anything inside there that can serve you. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. He says the object of life is development, and everything that lives has an inalienable right to all the development it's capable of attaining. In other words, life is meant to grow. Life is meant to expand. Life is meant to become more. And you wouldn't go outside and look at a tree. I'm looking at the trees outside my window right now. You wouldn't go outside and look at a tree and tell it, okay, you've hit 8 feet, stop growing. No, a tree is going to grow as big as it can. That's all it's going to do. For its entire life, it will just grow, and it's going to produce as much fruit as it can. And it's going to suck up as much nutrients as it can. And it's going to do as much as it can in its life. Everything alive, everything is going to do as much as it can. Nothing, humans are the only thing that kind of start doing things and then stop. Everything else in nature does as much as it possibly can. Now, man's right to life means his right to have the free and unrestricted use of all the things which may be necessary to his fullest mental, spiritual, and physical unfoldment, or in other words, his right to be rich. Your life, the fact that you are alive, it is a God-given right. Your right to life is your right to expansion, to become the most of yourself. And so, in other words, because of the way society is set up, and for you to grow, you need the use of tools, you need the use of information, you need the use of foods, all that stuff. He's saying that a part of that, if we're not going to stop you from doing that, then you need to be able to be rich, right? No one can take that right away from you. It's funny because even in our Constitution, right, we give people they have the right to the pursuit of happiness, right? They can grow as much as they want. They're able to work, they're able to build, they're able to start businesses. We understood this. This is why America, in my opinion, is still the number one nation in the world. Doesn't mean we're perfect, but we're the number one nation in the world. Now, he says in this book, I shall not speak of riches in a figurative way. To be really rich does not mean to be satisfied or contented with a little. No man ought to be satisfied with a little if he is capable of using and enjoying more. The purpose of nature is the advancement and unfoldment of life, and every man should have all that can contribute to the power, elegance, beauty, and richness of life. The man who owns all he wants for the living of the life he is capable of living is rich, and no man who has not plenty of money can have all he wants. Let's look at that. The man who owns all he wants, not some of what he wants, not most of what he wants, all he wants. And by the way, let's emphasize this. All he wants, all she wants. By the way, this book was written with a lot of he's. There are no she's written in this book, but this applies to everybody. But essentially, all a single person wants, somebody might want more. Everyone has different levels of ambition. I have friends who want to be billionaires. I have friends who are happy making $500,000 a year. It's a different spectrum, different strokes for different folks. So keep that in mind. When I say be really rich, you have a different definition of really rich. You have a different definition of a lot of money. You have a different definition of fun, of fulfillment, of joy, of satisfaction. And that's okay. Understand what your definition is, and then allow yourself to be okay knowing that it's a part of your nature to want that, to desire that, and to go for it. It's your God-given right. So the man who owns all he wants for the living of all the life he is capable of living is rich. When you are living the life that you want to live, congratulations, my friend, you made it. And no man who has not plenty of money can have all he wants. Real talk. If you're not driving the car that you absolutely love, you don't have all you want. If you're not living in the house, if you're not living in the neighborhood where you want to be in, if you're not eating the foods you want to eat, if you're not gifting the people you want to gift, if you're not buying the things you want to be able to buy, you're not fully rich. And listen, I have friends who are rich. I have friends who buy what they want to buy when they want to buy it, how they want to buy it. They don't think. The decision making isn't can I afford it? The decision making is do I want it? There's a big difference when you start thinking from that place, do I want it? And you can back it up without getting yourself into trouble. There are some people who do I want it, swipe the credit card, I can't pay off the credit card. They're living on credit. They become a slave. They become indebted to the banks. They become indebted to society. That's not living free. Living free is being able to have what you want and you pay your price tag on the front end. Now, he says, life has advanced so far and become so complex that even the most ordinary man or woman requires a great amount of wealth in order to live in a manner that even approaches completeness. Every person naturally wants to become all they are capable of being. This desire to realize innate possibilities is inherent in human nature. It's the way you were made. We cannot help wanting to be all we want that we can be. Success in life is becoming what you want to be. You can become what you want to be only by making use of things. And you can have the free use of things only as you become rich enough to buy them. To understand the science of getting rich is therefore the most essential of all knowledge. We're going to stop right there. Actually, we're going to read one more sentence. There's nothing wrong with wanting to get rich. I have to read that because if you grew up like me, you had this thought in the back of your head that people who have a lot of money are somehow bad guys. They're somehow doing something wrong. They are somehow screwing somebody over. This book will not only show you that that is not the case. In fact, screwing people over is the easiest way to ensure that you do not become rich. Not in a long term, not in a generational wealth. Like if you want to build generational wealth, there is literally only one way to do it properly, and that is to do it by providing support to people, providing value to people, helping people, growing other people, giving to them what is theirs so that you can collect what is yours. With that being the case, I talk about this a lot because people, unfortunately, if they grew up like me, you thought money was evil. In fact, you heard money is the root of all evil. Those are the things that you heard. That's the story in your mind about money. Therefore, people who possess money must also be that. People who talk about money must also be that. Hopefully, something is triggering in your brain right now where you're like, man, Marlon has said the word money at least 40 times in this video already because I want to expose you to this conversation. I want to expose you to this information. I want to expose you to this knowledge. In fact, we're going to make a couple of more videos on this book going through it because this book helped to rewire my paradigm around money. This is what helped me go from making between $20,000 and $25,000 a year to learning how to make over $40,000, over $100,000 in a single month. And I'm going to continue making more money because the more money you have, the more you're able to become as a person, the more you can explore yourself, the more you can grow. So what I want to know in the chat below, in the comments below, what were some of the money programs that you were taught growing up? Like I mentioned, money is the root of all evil. What were some things that you learned about money? Because here's the truth. It's not the things that you don't know about money that are hurting you. It's the things that you do know that just aren't true. Leave in the comment below. I'm curious to see what some of your money paradigms were. And then after you type it in the comments, do me a favor. Promise to erase it from your mind. Get rid of that old programming. Get rid of that old story. Buy this book, right? The Science of Getting Rich. I don't have, guys, like I'm not the author. I'm not making anything from this book. It's just a book that I love reading. In fact, if you need a copy of it, if you want a digital copy, reach out, DM me on Instagram at MindsetMarlin. I will send you a digital copy of this book. It's pretty easy to come across. There's a YouTube video. You can listen to the audio file of this book. I'll do my best to drop the link down below if I remember when I upload this video. But listen to this book and let it rewire your mind, and then also come back for tomorrow's daily study because we're going to keep breaking this book down. We're probably going to spend a lot of time on this book because, again, it's one of my favorite books. It helped me rewire my mind, helped me earn more money, and it's continuing to help me do those things here today in the present moment. So if you got value from this video, do me a favor, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe, come back tomorrow for another episode where we're going to dive even deeper. We'll just literally pick back up where I left off, and we're going to just keep going through this book. And also, let me know, did you enjoy the difference between spirit and soul? Because that was like a for me. So guys, I appreciate you. Remember, stay blessed by the best, and I will catch you in tomorrow's video.